Alright, so the fight is official. Anthony Joshua is going to be fighting Daniel Dubois on this Wembley Saudi card. Kind of spoiled, I feel, but looking at the Wembley card, I'm not as enthused as I was about many of the previous Saudi cards and even the American one. The American one's outdone Wembley majorly. There is some good fights on there. I'd be interested in seeing Buatsi versus Hutchinson, especially coming off the really good win over Craig Richards. Although Craig Richards in that fight did look diabolical. I think that fight. I mean, Hutchinson looked okay, but I think that fight was more about Craig Richards being bad than Hutchinson being great. You also have fights like Hamzah Sheeraz versus Tyler Denny. The Tyler Denny one is bizarre. It's like I literally saw him fight like not that long ago. It was literally about like what 5 days ago or something like that. And beating Felix Cash was a really good win, by the way. And he's already back. He's already getting into another fight. So props to him. But yeah, I think Hamzah Sheeraz deals with him quite well. You've also got fights like Anthony Cacace versus Josh Warrington, which is, I mean, a bit. Where's Lee Wood? That's the one question. Where the fuck is Lee Wood? Because realistically, Josh Warrington has not earned the position to be fighting for a title. But okay, Liam Smith versus Josh Kelly. I mean, I'll be honest, I ain't got much interest in that fight. And Mark Chamberlain versus Josh Padley. I've never heard of Josh Padley. Mark Chamberlain. I'm becoming quite a bit of a fan of Mark Chamberlain. His last 2 fights were pretty good, to be fair. I was really happy with his first round TKO over his last opponent. So I think Mark Chamberlain's only going to be going up from here. I'm really interested to see where he goes. But obviously, topping the bill, we've got Joshua versus Dubois. A really great fight. I made a video on it not too long ago, basically trying to dispel the notion that people were trying to convey that, oh, AJ walks over him, and all that stuff. I hate that kind of stuff going into the fight. It sucks all of the enjoyment out of it when people are so determined, oh, this is going one way, that's it. But there is some interesting things around this fight. The build-up is already starting to get interesting. The sparring stories of Anthony Joshua and Dubois have been brought up almost immediately. They've had a press conference, boring as sin, by the way. It's something Ariel Helwani brought up really well to Eddie Hearn recently. The press conferences, especially the Saudi ones, they're awful. They're so boring that they literally just go on and on and on. The one positive was Adeola Depot, who just keep him in that role, please. Dev Sani, awful. That other guy, awful. Just keep Adeola Depot in that role because he handles it by far the best. He is the best presenter. But yeah, that press conference was boring as sin. And nothing much happened. But there were talks around the press conference about some like words being exchanged between Joshua and Dubois, and Joshua saying he was going to throw a chair at him or something mental like that. And the clip has actually come out now. It's your typical sort of interview thing with Adeola Depot talking to both Dubois and Joshua, and Frank Warren and Hearn are also there. But it's a really strange thing to watch in terms of Anthony Joshua, to be honest, because it's one of those things. I'm not going to delve too much into like the mental side of things because people talk about that, but ultimately when they get in the ring, it doesn't really matter. Really doesn't matter. But there's a really strange confrontation they get into here where Daniel Dubois, basically, he's talking like he normally does. He's talking like a fighter. You know, he's not a gifted talker sort of. You sort of have Frank Warren constantly encouraging him to maybe just talk up a little bit, big himself up a bit, have some fighting words. But he's just not that kind of guy. And I actually, that's sort of why I really like Daniel Dubois. He's an endearing figure. He's not someone who's gonna come out and start trash talking. And even when he does, it's endearing because you can tell he's doing it for a laugh, basically. One of my favorite things of Dubois was when Jarrell Miller was trying to stick it onto him in these press conferences, and some people were going, oh my god, amazing from Jarrell Miller, he's absolutely destroying him. But did you see Daniel Dubois' reaction? He was laughing. He literally didn't care. And this is sort of what I mean about this clip. Dubois basically fulfills the fighting mentality, right? Joshua is talking about, oh yeah, just looking forward to the fight, as he usually does, just looking forward to the fight. And then Dubois says, oh yeah, well, we can fight now. Yeah, we can do it now, kind of thing. And Joshua, for some reason, takes that really personally, takes that to heart and says, don't disrespect me. Don't disrespect? What do you mean? You're going to be fighting eventually. Well, I don't even understand. How's that disrespectful? So that in itself was strange to me, but it was more Joshua's mentality over the course of that confrontation, which was, it wasn't, I don't like it, but as a personal thing, I don't like that sort of behavior, because, I mean, what else is Dubois going to do? Say, oh yeah, cannot wait, just like you do every time, Joshua. It's like, it's boring, come on, hype up this fight a little bit, and I think that's what Dubois has been encouraged to do by Frank Warren, probably. So he said, oh yeah, I can fight now, sort of thing. Joshua says that's disrespectful, which doesn't make any sense to me. But then immediately starts acting as this sort of superior, authoritative figure. He sort of starts to go, yeah, relax, Dubois, relax. And then Dubois, I love Dubois' mentality. He immediately snaps back at Joshua and says, I'm not intimidated of you. I'm not intimidated of you at all. And then they obviously get up and, well, Joshua gets up first, initiates this whole scuffle that they almost get into. They have to be held back. Yeah, again, I'll be honest, I really prefer the mentality of Daniel Dubois in this, because he just had straight fight and talk. It wasn't as boring as Anthony Joshua usually is. Dubois hypes up the fight just like a smidge. And Joshua immediately takes that to heart and says, don't disrespect me. And gets up and tries to cause a scene. I don't even understand it. I think my favourite takeaway in terms of Dubois, and I'll be honest, personally, in this fight, I would not mind seeing Dubois win. Just as a personal thing. Because I think the trials and tribulations of Daniel Dubois, to see him rise to the occasion and beat someone like Anthony Joshua, especially when everybody's writing him off. I mean, every single comment I'm seeing is Joshua knocks him out in 3 rounds and shit like that. One, I'm not convinced at all, so I'd like to see Dubois really step to the occasion for that subversion of most people's expectations. It won't surprise me, but I'd like to see that. But also in terms of this clip, I think Dubois' mentality, I prefer it to Joshua's. I'll be honest, I much prefer it. He's got that fight and talk, which was fine. And when Joshua was actively starting to, like, little boy him, act like he was sort of superior, he snapped back immediately, said, I'm not intimidated of you. And of course, with those sparring stories, there might be a bit of tension over there. You know, Joshua might still not be happy about how their sessions went. And Dubois might be getting a bit of confidence off that, and Joshua's not liking it. Build up, I'm liking it already, regardless of who's acting like a dick and who's not in that clip, whatever. Card's going to be good. The fight is going to be good between Joshua and Dubois. I'll be honest, as we get closer and closer to this fight, I've got a feeling I'm going to start favouring Dubois more and more. I know it might sound mental. Everyone's saying Joshua. Everyone's saying the skill of Joshua. I'm going to say it from the off. My prediction might change, but currently, I think Dubois might win. I think he's had the better recent form. I think he's more malleable as a fighter. You know, think about the last performances we've seen from Daniel Dubois. You know, they haven't been perfect. Obviously not. That Hrgovic fight, he was getting peppered and popped all night long. But you've got to realise that Daniel Dubois is far more malleable than Joshua. When Joshua turns up to this fight with Daniel Dubois, I expect to see the same Joshua I've been seeing all along. The whole Joshua 3.0 sort of thing is, I think it's far overstated. I think Joshua's the same fighter since the Usyk fights, with some improvements, don't get me wrong. But think about it, the people he's been going up against, they're not on his level. I mean, you can't judge Joshua's performance off, like, Francis Ngannou. Because he would have been able to do that, like, before the Usyk fights, before the Andy Ruiz fight. He would have been able to do that anyway. And I'm sure he would have done it in a really similar fashion. So you can't judge it off the Francis Ngannou win. I think off recent performances, Joshua's had an amazing knockout over an MMA fighter that was bigged up, right? And he knows that. He obviously knows that he took that for money, basically. And he must know that. But his performance against Otto Wallen, that was impressive, but again, it was the Fury effect again. I think Fury, in both instances, made those fighters look way better than they actually were. Whereas Dubois, he's gone in with an unbeaten Jarrell Miller, right? Which I know people like, yeah, you didn't. You look at the Jarrell Miller fight. Jarrell Miller didn't really have a chance when looking at it. Yeah, you can say that, but Jarrell Miller was tough as hell. He was taking huge shots throughout the fight, and Dubois actually managed to get rid of him at the end. That is surprising. That surprised me. I wasn't expecting Dubois to look that good. And then obviously you have the Hrgovic fight, where he looked even better. Was taking shots, yeah, we know, was taking a lot of shots, but he looked even better than the Jarrell Miller fight. Absolutely tore up a guy who has a granite chin. We know Hrgovic has a granite chin. And he tore him up. He absolutely busted him up. And if the fight kept going for a couple more rounds, Hrgovic would have been done. It would have been knocked out or TKO, without a doubt in my mind. So yeah, really interesting fight. I'm gonna make the prediction now. I'm fine for anyone to disagree. I'm fine for anyone to say it's dumb. But I've got a sneaky feeling the younger guy, the more malleable guy, the guy where there's a lot of room for improvement, and that improvement I feel actually will come to fruition. I'm going with Daniel Dubois. I'm saying it. I'm going with Daniel Dubois for now. I might flip-flop, who knows, but I've just got a good feeling about Daniel Dubois going into this fight. He could get clocked. Let's not mistake. If he gets clocked, I don't think he's gonna react the same way as when Hrgovic was hitting him with right hands. Let's just say that. But I just feel like we're gonna see a fight where Dubois comes out swinging and has better defense, is even more spry, and just unsettles Joshua completely. On the flip side of that, we obviously know how good of a trainer Ben Davidson is. I think, you know, they'll have a game plan in place for if Dubois does do that. Make no mistake. But I'm going to go with the younger guy. I'm going to say Dubois stops Anthony Joshua. And the closer we get to the fight, we'll see if that opinion changes. It'll be interesting. But I'm liking the mentality from Daniel Dubois. I'm liking his attitude. I think he's only building and building in confidence. Hey, you never know.